is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
This season, Cole Hamels has been dominating almost everywhere he's pitched. But it's been on the road where Cole has been his most devastating. Hamels has shut down some of baseball's best offenses in his 11 road starts. But tonight, he is possibly facing his toughest challenge, keeping the Orioles in the yard. Baltimore has hit 4 home runs in the first game of this series and now leads the majors with 158 this year. From Camden Yards, it's a battle of division leaders. Your Rangers take on the AL East leading Baltimore Orioles. Coming up next. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by high-speed internet from AT&T. Now, it is an absolutely gorgeous evening here at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. Very light breezes, mild temperatures, but a very hot Baltimore Orioles team getting set to host your Texas Rangers. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you joined us this Wednesday night of Ranger baseball. Rangers trying to get back on the winning side of things. They had their hands full as Baltimore playing extremely well. Won the first game of this series last night. Tonight, Tom, Cole Hamels, one of the best pitchers on the road this year in the AL.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Cole in so many different ways. What he's done since he joined the Rangers. What he's done since the All-Star break. We're going to talk about what he's done on the road this year, and it's pretty remarkable the kind of success he's had on the road. For the season on the road, 8-1, most wins in the American League on the road, and a terrific ERA, 171. Tonight on the road, though, he faces a home run happy Oriole team that very seldom loses in this ballpark. So this will be a great challenge for Cole, his road record against the best home playing team in the league.
Well, the Rangers hope to back up Cole Hamels tonight, get that revamped offense, the hyped offense from last night in high gear tonight. We'll see how that works out for the Rangers and for Cole Hamels this evening. We'll have the starting lineups and the first pitch coming up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T High-Speed Internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. A beautiful evening here in downtown Baltimore. Orioles and Rangers getting set for Game 2 of this 3-game series. Before we get underway, let's sit down and check in with John Radigan.
Yeah, Buzz, the post-non-waiver trade deadline Rangers are complete now as Jeremy Jeffress has joined the team. He was with his team, the Milwaukee Brewers, when they went to San Diego because he didn't expect to be traded at the trade deadline. He was, and while he was a little surprised, he's also very happy.
I did not expect it. It was a complete surprise. Came down like to the last 2 minutes. My agent was calling me, and he's let me know that something's gonna happen right now, and he let me know that he don't think Luke Crew's going if I'm not there. So I mean, I was just expecting something little, but not at all. I thought I was gonna be a Brewer forever, but I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be around.
Yeah. And why not? He joins a team that is right in the thick of things for not only the best record in the American League West, but the best record in the American League. He's already fitting in quite nicely with this team and with the guys he'll be spending a lot of time with down there in the bullpen. Guys, let's get it back up to you.
All right, John, thanks very much. Yeah, on top of that, making the tail end of that bullpen look even stronger than it had been.
It's pretty good when you acquire a guy who's got 27 saves.
Another power arm down there in that Ranger bullpen. So, Rangers come in today at 62-45, and Tom's going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Rangers lineup tonight.
Well, it's going to look a lot like last night because it is a lot like last night. Jurickson Profire's leading off in left field. Ian Desmond's batting second. One of the new Rangers, Carlos Beltran, will DH and bat third. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup hitter. Rougned Odor's batting fifth. New catcher Jonathan Lucroy will catch. He'll bat sixth. Nomar Mazara is in right field. Mitch Moreland bats eighth at first base. And batting ninth is a shortstop, Elvis Andrus.
And Jeff Bannister's lineup will face a hard-throwing 25-year-old right-hander who played his collegiate ball at LSU. That's Kevin Gausman. Fastball, splitter, curveball. And he is underway with a good fastball to Jurickson Profile. Gausman, very raw as far as his stuff goes, and that can lead to a little bit of inconsistency. Rangers will try to make him throw strikes early, and that means being a little bit patient. See if he can, as Jeff Bannister put it, make Gausman a one-pitch pitcher. There's lay off the off-speed stuff, make him get that fastball in the zone and preferably down a little bit where it's hittable, and go to work on it. Rangers have faced Gausman 4 other times, including the last time against Texas in Arlington. That was that makeup game back on the 20th of June. Rangers came out on top in that one by a 4-3 count. But Jurickson Profile with that .290 average, 5 home runs, 15 RBI. And he fouls off the next Gausman pitch.
There aren't too many teams that have 2 young homegrown pitchers like Bundy and Gausman. Both of them were the 4th pick in the draft back-to-back years, 2011, 2012. Bundy was terrific last night, and Gausman has an excellent arm too. He can reach the mid-90s, and I'm sure he was watching the game last night, and if he did, he saw how effective Bundy was, not necessarily because only of his fastball, but he had a changeup last night that was really good. And against the Rangers, if you've got a really good changeup, it gives you a chance. Without an off-speed pitch like a changeup, the Rangers pretty much are a team that'll tee off on it. There's that splitter, works for a changeup for him, and that's a good pitch, boy.
And Profar's gone on a strikeout. One gone, and Ian Desmond coming up. We'll show you the Orioles defense behind Gausman tonight. A little bit of a change with the left-hander Hamels on the mound. Reimold starts in left. Jones in center. Steve Pearce, reacquired from Tampa Bay, is in right. Chris Davis, Jonathan Scope, J.J. Hardy, and Manny Machado around the infield. Matt Wieters again catching tonight for Baltimore. And Kevin Gausman, the 25-year-old out of Centennial, Colorado. Here's Desmond, and Ian takes a knee-high strike, or somewhere around there.
Both Bundy and Gausman strike out about a batter per inning, right at a batter per inning. And in Gausman's case, he doesn't walk many either. He's got a nice strikeout to walk ratio. long night for the hitters if that pitch is a strike on that one.
The umpire behind the plate tonight, Stu Sherwater. And Jeff Bannister trying to let him know from the Rangers' perspective that both those pitches were down out of the strike zone. Our Fox tracker would kind of agree with that. 1 and 2 seem to be not only down but off the plate inside. But no balls, 2 strikes. Call strike 3. Upper reaches of the strike zone. Well, back-to-back strikeouts begin things tonight. 2 gone for Carlos Beltran. Sherwater is hunting strikes, as they say.
That's fine.
Wants to call
as long
strikes.
as he's hunting them both ways.
Yep.
But I don't know a right-hand hitter in baseball that wouldn't complain about those first 2 called strikes. One thing if they're low, but when they're low and inside, that's a pretty tough combination.
Now here's Carlos Beltran. He went 0 for 4 in his Ranger debut last evening. Hitting at 300, 22 home runs, 64 RBI. Those power numbers, of course, with the New York Yankees. Beltran coming over from New York on the trade deadline. Hammers one to right field. It is deep. Turning around is Pierce. Goodbye. Number 23 on the season. Number 1 as a Ranger. Carlos Beltran gives the Rangers a 1-0 lead.
Boy, there's a perfect example that you don't want to get behind and come in with a fastball. He threw Beltran a couple of off-speed pitches that he didn't even check his swing on, and then got a fastball on the 2-0 pitch and hit it right out of the ballpark. He was waiting for the fastball, 2-0. Gausman got behind. He came in with a fastball, 1-0.
Gausman has had a little trouble with the long ball. Last time out, he gave up 3 first-inning home runs. That was against Toronto, and he's given up 1 here to Carlos Beltran. That is pretty much center cut.
No, Weeder's set up inside, but obviously that pitch didn't get inside.
A little bit of tailing action, brought it back right in the middle of the plate, and Carlos Beltran said thank you very much. Beltran hits a rocket on 1 hop that J.J. Hardy spears and throws him out. Well, 2 strikeouts, 2 rockets. Rangers put 1 on the board. Half an inning in the books in Baltimore. Rangers 1, Orioles coming up. This home run gets the Rangers out in front. Tom is going to tell you now about the Baltimore lineup tonight.
Well, the Ranger lineup was the same. The Orioles changes with a lefty in there. Adam Jones doesn't change, though. He's the leadoff hitter again. Jonathan Scope, the second baseman, will move down and bat second. Manny Machado again will bat third. Mark Trumbo moves into the cleanup spot while Chris Davis moves into the 5th spot in the lineup at first base. Steve Pearce, newly acquired, will play right field. Matt Wieters is the catcher. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop. Batting ninth against the lefty is Nolan Reimold.
And Buck Showalter's team facing Cole Hamels tonight. And Cole gets a foul tip at the plate from Adam Jones. Hamels making his 22nd start. That ties him with Martin Perez for the team leadership. 12-2, as we mentioned in the opening, that 3-0 since the All-Star break, and 8-1 this year on the road. He has the best road ERA of anybody in the American League. There's a good reason why. That nice changeup that Jones swung right through.
Adam Jones thought he had the luxury of seeing 2 straight fastballs.
Well, he did. One was just a little bit slower than the other.
Yeah, one just didn't go fast.
Adam Jones, a .269 average, hit his 21st home run last night. Up and into him.
Yeah, up and in, but could have been.
Could have been.
The only reason he didn't swing at it was he just wasn't ready for that pitch. He's not a hitter that's up there looking for a walk, that's for sure.
1-2 from Hamels. And we'll try it again. Cole, a 32-year-old out of San Diego. He has been pretty good for the Rangers. They acquired him just over a year ago. 33 starts in a Ranger uniform. He's gone 19-3. And that puts him in pretty rarefied air as far as pitchers going to new ball clubs. There's a swinging strikeout of Adam Jones, one away, and Jonathan Scope coming up. Take a look at the Ranger defense delivered to you tonight by Break Check. Outfield, same as last night. Profar, Desmond, and Mazzara left, center, and right. Moreland and Odor on the right side of the diamond, with Andrews and Beltre on the left. Jonathan Lucroy is behind the plate, working with Cole Hamels. And Lucroy talking about how much he disliked hitting against Cole Hamels. He said, I'm going to have much better time tonight seeing Cole from behind home plate instead of standing at it. I much prefer this rather than trying to hit it. You know, Lucroy, a lot of raves last night for the stuff that Yu Darvish took out there. He said, next time we'll have a better idea, but he was impressed with the way Yu Darvish could manipulate the baseball, is the way he put it.
Yeah, there were a lot of websites showing some of those breaking balls, kind of marveling at how much and how quickly, how sharply they broke. Now, Cole gets 28% of the time swings and misses. That's the 4th most in the American League. Already in this game, he's had 4 swings and misses. Had a changeup and a couple of changeups, a couple of fastballs.
There's a looper off the fist into left field, and Scope has a base hit.
Scope will swing at almost anything. He very seldom walks. Only walked 13 times in 400 at bats. Cole ran that fastball up and in, jammed him, but he kind of fought it off. Right off the handle, a little blooper in the left field.
Yeah, pretty good pitch. Pretty good pitch, well executed, and that's just one you have to say, okay, you got enough bat on it to get it to the outfield. So 1 on, 1 out, Manny Machado now. The Orioles' third baseman will step in. Machado brings that .304 average to the plate with him. Off speed, that finds the outer corner for strike 1. In the early going here, Hamels kind of reminds you of the game he pitched against Kansas City. He had an excellent command of both the breaking ball, the curveball, and the changeup, along with having a good fastball against the Royals.
If there's ever a team where it's going to be in your best interest to have a good changeup against left-hand pitcher, it's the Orioles, because Jones, Scope, Machado, and Trumbo, they will swing at the first fastball they see and try to hit it out of the ballpark. So being able to throw a changeup to those guys and keep them off your fastball, that's going to be a big part of Cole's success tonight if he's able to do that.
A ball and a strike. Hamels checking Scope at first. Little cue shot off of Moreland's glove down the right field line. Scope around second, will head to third. Going to second is Machado, and he is in standing. Mitch Moreland going up for that ball, and it looked like it just went off the tip of his glove. I think Mitch thought he had it. He was going to the bag.
I think it had so much spin on it, it just spun right out of his glove. Well, there's 2 hits for men on second and third. They're right off the end of the bat. That ball just had so much spin, it spinned off the top of his glove and kept on rolling. Right off the top of his glove. And I don't think he was going to be able to catch it with or without the spin. You got a little jam shot, a little off the end of the bat blooper, and it's second and third, and only 1 out after those 2 hits.
No, Rangers will play the infield back. Mark Trumbo at the plate. And he's going to get a run home. Elvis going to go to third, and they've got Machado over there. In to score is Scope. Machado kind of caught napping. He was trying to go from second to third, and Elvis said, thanks very much. Trumbo aboard on the fielder's choice. He gets his 76th RBI. And we have a tie ball game now at 1 apiece.
Yeah, obviously bad base running by Machado. Ball's right in front of you. You got nowhere to go. So you take a runner with decent speed out of scoring position and put a slower runner at first base. That's a good trade-off. In the meantime, the Orioles do get a run to tie the game. A couple of little bloopers. The second one rolled far enough away to where it ended up second and third instead of first and second. In which case might have had a double play.
No, 2 outs. Chris Davis takes low for ball 1. Davis, .222 the average, 22 home runs, 60 RBI. He is tied with teammate Manny Machado for 12th in the American League with those 22 home runs. Outfield pretty deep against Chris Davis. Excellent power. The infield in that extreme overshift. And the count runs to 3 balls and no strikes. Davis last night 1 for 4, had an RBI, and Cole Hamels being careful with it. 59th walk of the year for the Oriole first baseman. That puts 2 aboard for Steve Pearce. Well, Cole Hamels trying to keep this at a 1-run inning. Steve Pearce in his first at bat since being reacquired by the Orioles. He had been down in Tampa Bay this year. Signed with the Rays as a free agent. Played the last several years here in Baltimore. 1 for 6 in his career against Cole Hamels and Steve Pearce. And Pearce, you put him in the same category as the other fellas that you mentioned, Tom, that he's up there hunting for that fastball in the first pitch.
Absolutely. Well, it's a good game plan coming into the game to go out of your way not to give them a good fastball to hit on the first pitch.
See what Pearce has been able to do against left-handers. That's with Tampa Bay this year, a .377 mark against southpaws. Half of his 10 home runs come against left-handers. 0-1 pitch. Look at the Ranger defense with Odor across on the shortstop side of second. And Hamels missing inside again. 2-1. Well, Cole now with 20 pitches under his belt, and it hasn't been the kind of inning where you say, boy, he's really getting beaten around. A couple of squibbers and turned into a run. And that pitch is low. It's 3 balls and a strike. Now Pearce batting 6th in the order. Matt Wieters, the catcher, in the on-deck circle. Cole back down the backside of the mound, having a little talk with himself. Now back up on top. Trumbo away from second, Davis from first. 3-1 pitch. That is ball 4. It loads him up. Well, back-to-back walks. Now Cole will have to deal with a switch hitting Matt Wieters. Doug Volcayo going to make a couple of notes about last two misadventures. Matt Wieters steps in, having homered last night. Took Dario Alvarez the other way to right center field for his 10th home run of the year, a .238 average. The first pitch is up and in for ball one.
He hasn't had a borderline strike called for him the whole game. He had Scope struck out on a pretty decent pitch that wasn't called. That could have been a strike. First inning, Ian Desmond had two pitches that weren't even close called strikes. I guess if you want to get one called, you have to throw it down and into a right-hand hitter.
He pulls that fly ball well foul down the left side. 1 ball and 1 strike.
The strike in the upper quadrant of the strike zone inside to a right-hand hitter so far has not been called for a strike. Although Cole's thrown several pitches there. Obviously, it's a little bit different inning if the one to Scope, which was definitely a strike, was called a strike. Instead, he gets a little blooper to left field and starts a rally.
Going in, 2 balls and a strike now. Cole a little out of sorts mechanically. And see the last couple of hitters, Pierce and now Wieters, right-handed hitters, he's kind of pulled the ball down and into them. Normally you figure that get your body out in front a little bit and jerking that hand through the strike zone a little too much. Base hit to center. 1 run home. Here comes the throw from Desmond. It is not in time. In to score is Davis. And it is a 2-run single. The Orioles lead 3-1.
It's a pitch that is low, probably not even a strike. Wieters hits it right off the end of the bat, but just like the first 2 hits, he finds a hole with it right up the middle. Great throw by Desmond. Just didn't have time to get the runner on the slowly hit ground ball. So blooper to left, blooper over first baseman, and a ground ball up the middle, mixed in with a couple of walks, adds up to a big inning and a lot of pitches for Cole.
First and second now, still 2 outs. J.J. Hardy, the number 8 hitter, will step to the plate. Hardy bagged .274. And Hamels hits the outside corner with strike 1. J.J. Hardy, the .310 on base percentage. He's gone 5 for 15 with a home run against Cole Hamels. Up the middle, Odor, though, will take it to second himself for the force, and that'll do it. But the Orioles send 8 men to the plate, 3 of them score. 2 stranded after 1. The Orioles 3 and the Rangers 1 on next Texas Chili Company Dollar Hot Dog Night is coming up on Wednesday, August the 10th. The Colorado Rockies in town. They take on your Texas Rangers. Come on out to Globe Life Park early. Enjoy all the hot dogs you can eat for just $1 each. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. A lot of Ranger fans in town for this series, and we saw the Rangers get on the board first, but Orioles caught up and passed them. 3-1 Baltimore. Rougned Odor leading things off here in the Rangers' second, and he takes strike one. It'll be Odor, Lucroy, and Mazzara. Nothing in 2 to Rougned. Odor with a .276 average, 21 home runs, and 54 RBI. Shoots one the other way. It's a fair ball. That's going to be extra bases over into foul territory. That was Reimold, and into second with an opposite field squibber double. There you go.
Even
exactly what Baltimore did.
Yeah, Gausman gets ahead 0-2. He's trying to throw a high fastball to see if he can get Rugi to swing at a pitch out of the strike zone. Instead, he throws a tailing fastball about belt high and maybe on the outside corner, a little bit outside. Rugi hits it right off the end of the bat, right down the line for a double. It wasn't hit that hard, but Gausman obviously didn't convert the kind of pitch he was trying to make.
No, Odor at second, nobody out. Jonathan Lucroy, the Ranger catcher, had an 0 for 2 last night. He scored a run. Takes strike one. Lucroy with the Brewers. He had .299, 13 home runs, 50 RBI. Trying to at least get Odor over to third base. Got that off the hands, and now he's down on the count to Kevin Gausman at 0 balls and 2 strikes. Lucroy, a couple of all-star selections. Recognized as one of the best all-around catchers in the game. That's in the dirt. Nice stop by Wieters. Lucroy this year offensively is among the top major league catchers as far as batting average. .317 behind the plate when he is behind the plate. Also second in RBI with 49. Slugging percentage, on base plus slugging. You throw in his ability to throw out runners and block pitches in the dirt. You got the whole package. A pretty good job of fouling off that. Looked like the splitter from Gausman. Still 1-2. See from that angle what that split finger grip does. Takes some spin off the ball, and at the very end that ball really dives down toward the dirt. Last 52 ball games, Lucroy, .317 hitter with 7 home runs. Lines one to right field, slicing, and that's going to be down for a base hit. Odor will be waved around third. Jonathan Lucroy with his first Texas RBI makes it a 3-2 Baltimore lead.
Yeah, good job of hitting right there. Down in the count with 2 strikes against a guy that strikes out a batter per inning. And what you do is you don't try to pull the ball. You go with a pitch, get a pitch out over the plate, and just line it into right field for a run. So, a little double down the left field line, and right after that, pick up a run. Get one of those runs back that gave up in the first inning.
So both teams now with 3 hits. Baltimore with 3 runs to go along with their 3 hits. Rangers, though, a couple of runs across. Lucroy at first. Here's Nomar Mazzara. And he takes ball 1. Mazzara, a .281 average with 13 home runs and 43 driven in. Nomar has hit safely in all 5 games that he's played against the Baltimore Orioles. Made his major league debut back on the 10th of April this year. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mazara brings in a 4-game hitting streak. On 5 for 15 over those 4 games. He's not only stabilized his batting average, it's back on the rise at .311 in his last dozen ball games. Gausman and Wieters can't quite get together on the pitch selection. LaCroix a modest lead at first. A 1-1 pitch to Mazara. 2-1. The Rangers as a team, 5th in the American League with a .263 average. On base percentage, they're right in the middle of the pack, 321. But they're climbing the ladder as far as home runs. They're not too far behind the Orioles. Rangers with 139 and now 140 after Carlos Beltran's blast in the first. Carlos with his first Ranger home run, his 23rd home run overall. Two and 2. The count to Mazara. Pulled foul. We will come back and try it again. Rangers have won 3 out of 5 this year against the Orioles. Last night, the first opportunity they had to play Baltimore here in Baltimore this year. Rangers have been kind of on a roller coaster against the Birds the last several years. Went through a streak where they were just 1-11 against Baltimore from 2013 through 2014. They turned that around pretty efficiently. Another foul off. Rangers have won 7 of the last 9 against the Birds, and 9 of the last 11. Still 2 and 2 with nobody out. A run across for the Rangers here in the second. Gausman a check of LaCroix at first. And that is low, 3 and 2. Well, Mazara hitting in the number 7 slot, trying to get aboard to join LaCroix. Mitch Moreland, your first baseman, a guy who's probably hit the ball as hard as anybody on the ball club in the last couple of weeks, is next. Now Gausman ready. Payoff pitch, LaCroix on the move. The pitch chopped foul outside third. Well, Jeff Bannister and Jonathan LaCroix, the green light. Go ahead and run with nobody out. Trusting Nomar Mazara to make some contact if it's a strike. So everything reset. Gausman is reset. LaCroix again on the move. Pitch sliced down the left field line. That's going to work its way back into the first row of seats. We'll have to try it for the third time. Nomar Mazara making Kevin Gausman work. This next pitch will be number 10 in this at bat. Gausman now, only 3 outs in this ball game, has 32 pitches under his belt. LaCroix after the RBI single at first. He's on the move again. The pitch is outside, ball 4. A single, now a walk, 2 aboard with nobody out for Mitch Moreland. You see Kevin Gausman, that's part of his MO, is that he uses a lot of pitches per inning. Almost 18 pitches per frame. That's 8th in the league.
Yeah, Nomar showed some pretty good patience. Laid off that splitter on the 3-2 pitch after seeing 10 or 11 pitches to work the walk. It's earning a walk.
Now here's Mitch. Marlins scalded the baseball twice last night. A line drive to center that was caught, and then he had a ball that almost took Chris Davis's glove off down at first base. He went for a base hit. And he takes a strike. 0-1. Moreland with the longest current hitting streak on the Ranger club. 7 straight. He has gone 11 for 21 in those 7 games. American League Player of the Week last week. It's a little bit tight. A ball and a strike. Good look at the Orioles defense, just about straight away on the infield. Outfield shading Moreland slightly the opposite way. And he got a rip at that 96-mile-an-hour heater. 1-2. Jonathan Lucroy at second base. Over at first, Nomar Mazara. Lucroy had an RBI single, driving home Rougned Odor. Belted to right. If that's fair, that is off the B&O warehouse. But it's not.
I was out there today looking at some of the markers where balls have been hit into Utah Street. And there is one on the side of that office building out there, about 7 feet off the ground, where Ken Griffey Jr. hit one during the home run derby a long time ago. That would have been close to short hopping that building out there if it stayed fair.
Well, another 1-2 pitch. Into center. Adam Jones has that one played for out number 1. Oh, Marlins guy's out. Now Elvis Andrus will come up. I was looking at the facts in the Orioles media guide. That 439 feet from home plate to the warehouse at the closest point. That's right down the line. And it goes out rather quickly. But that's a pretty good poke out there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly where Griffey's was, but it wasn't right down the line. So his was probably, who knows, 465, 470.
Elvis takes a breaking ball on the first pitch for strike 1. 291 average for the number 9 hitter in the Ranger order. Elvis, as you can see, has enjoyed hitting against Kevin Gausman. 4 for 9 in his career. Got the tying run at second. Jonathan Lucroy out there. Nomar Mazara trailing him at first. Gausman with the 0-1 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now we're talking about Elvis, and he is our TXU Energy Power Player to watch this evening. Last 7 ball games against Baltimore. Elvis has gone 10 for 22 with 4 RBI and 3 stolen bases. Elvis had the only RBI in last night's game on a sacrifice lineout. Takes that one a bit low, and it's 2-1. That was the kind of pitch that Jeff Bannister was talking about, Tom, when we were listening to him. That said, hey, you got to make Gausman a 1-pitch pitcher. If you start swinging at pitches out of the strike zone, especially that splitter, you're going to have a hard night. If you can lay off that pitch, you got a much better chance.
And Mazara did a good job of that in his long at bat. He laid off it a couple of times, and several other hitters have done the same.
27 pitches this inning for Kevin Gausman to get 1 out.
Yeah, pretty good spot right here for Elvis to get a fastball, too.
Gausman will check the runners. The 3-1 pitch. Slowly hit to short. The second for 1. There will be no throw. Now back to third. Lucroy, though, didn't round the bag far enough to get caught off. So the force removes Mazzara. Rangers will have runners at the corners and 2 outs for the top of the order once again. Jurickson and Profar.
Scope almost got Lucroy to go too far, but he didn't wander too far off the bag. He was able to get back. Good try by Scope. Didn't have any chance at first base. Might as well give it a shot.
So Elvis aboard with the fielder's choice. Jurickson and Profar now up there with 2 outs. Profar went down swinging in the first inning. One ball and no strikes. Profar, as we talked about, statistically much better from the left side of the plate. This year he has batted .307 as a left-handed hitter. Just .245 from the right side. The 1-0 pitch to him. That's a little bit low. 2 balls and no strikes. Profar, 15 runs driven in this year. Buck Showalter acknowledging that the changes the Rangers made had them go from a very good ball club to an even better ball club. Well, that's outside, 3-0. Gosman trying to pick against Profar. Profar not offering. See this season with 2 outs in these situations, runners in scoring position. Profar has gone 5 for 13. Ahead of the count here, 3-0. Three and 1. Profar settling back in the batter's box. Lucroy at third, Andrus at first. Good swing by Profar. But the foul ball fills the count. So now with 2 outs, Elvis will get a free run at first. Profar trying to extend this second inning. He and Desmond hoping to get a shot at Gosman in this frame. Gosman set. Andrus on the move. Payoff pitch. He'll come back and try it again. Jurickson Profar making his 43rd start of the year and his 4th in left field. Trying to at least tie this ball game. Lucroy down at third, the tying run. Got him swinging. Down and away. Profar strikes out for the second time tonight. Rangers get a run, but strand 2. After 1.5, it's the Orioles 3, the Rangers 2. on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today during the Ford Freedom Sales Event and see why Ford is the best in Texas. The Orioles with a 3-2 lead as they come to bat here in the bottom of the second. Nolan Reimold, the only Oriole that did not hit in the first, starts things off and he takes high for ball one. Reimold hitting .240 with 5 home runs and 13 driven in. And Hamels misses with ball two. Reimold has enjoyed the few at-bats that he's had against Cole Hamels, 3 for 6. Fouls off that 2-0 pitch. Cole Hamels trying to rebound from the first inning that saw him give up 3 hits, 2 walks, and 3 runs. There's that changeup again. 2-2. Odd thing, Baltimore is scoring about 65% of their runs via the home run. Did not have a home run in that first inning. Next pitch from Hamels. 3-2. Reimold leading off the second, trying to get aboard to start things. Adam Jones in the top of the order to follow. Reimold, last 10 games, hasn't had a whole lot of success. Payoff pitch on the way. Odor moving to his right.
Well, that's better in the first inning. That's a line shot that's converted into an out in the first inning. A couple of 3 soft hits resulted in 3 runs along with a couple of walks. Reimold gets a fastball away, does a nice job of going the other way with it. Unfortunately for him, Ruby was there to catch it. Cole still trying to zero in on the strike zone. He's about even, 18 strikes, 16 balls. Trying to battle through the first inning and a third. Mentioned in the pregame show, in his last 3 starts, he's pitched 21 in the third, only given up 2 earned runs. Had 12 strikeouts in his last start against Kansas City and threw 123 pitches, his high for the season. That was a terrific start against the Royals. And against the Cubs a few starts ago at Chicago, 8 innings, no earned runs, no walks. A good roll since the All-Star break.
Adam Jones gets that fastball right in on his fist, and he is now down on the count, 0-2. Jones began things by going down swinging against Hamels. Adam Jones in that leadoff spot provides good speed at the top of the order along with some pop. 21 home runs. Reaches out, pokes it to center. Ian Desmond for out number 2. Cole gets the first 2 hitters. Now we'll face Jonathan Scope. Scope was the one that got that whole mess started. He got jammed on a 1-2 pitch in the first inning. Cole made a very good pitch with a fastball inside, and Scope able to shovel it out into left field for a 1-out single.
Yeah, Scope's one of those guys hitting for a high average this year. 285 and never walks. He'll swing at almost anything. But to hit 285 is kind of like Adam Jones. Jones might be walking a little bit more this year, but both these guys, free swingers who don't walk, swing a lot of pitches out of the strike zone, but still make a lot of solid contact to hit for good averages.
And this is going to be an easy 1-2-3 inning, so Cole Hamels bounces back. 3 up, 3 down for the Orioles after 2 in Baltimore. It's the Orioles 3, the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. A Friday night tradition out at Globe Life Park, and be sure to catch the next post-game fireworks show. That's coming up August 12th. It's presented by Big Green Egg. Rangers will take on the Tigers that night. It's a 7:05 first pitch. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. A 3-2 Baltimore lead as Ian Desmond starts things off here in the third inning. There's a conflicted young man.
You can't lose tonight.
May have to get therapy in a couple of years. But Ian Desmond called out on strikes in the first. It's one high in the air, shallow right field, down the line and foul. Slices about 7 or 8 feet foul and bounds into the seats. Desmond will come back with a count of no balls and 2 strikes. Gausman, 52 pitches in the first 2 innings plus 1 hitter here in the third. The Rangers have made him work. And Gausman, 36 strikes, 16 balls. Desmond back in, pounds that plate. He's ready to go. And he has gone back to the Ranger dugout. Second time that he has been called out on a 3rd strike. So 4 strikeouts for Kevin Gausman, with Carlos Beltran coming up. Our AT&T high-speed internet replay back in the first inning. Beltran got a 2-0 fastball and did not miss it. He hit a rope that got out of here in no time. Very high speed for Carlos Beltran. And his first Ranger home run, his 23rd home run of the year. He has now driven in 65. Looks at a strike.
There's that pitch again.
Yep.
Popping up.
Our Ford leaderboard, all-time switch hitters with the home runs. Carlos Beltran down there in 4th. Mickey Mantle, of course, the all-time leader. Eddie Murray, former Oriole, is 2nd. Then Chipper Jones. Beltran, right center field, moving over Adam Jones to make the grab. 2 gone. And before Adrian Beltre comes to the plate, let's send it back to Dana Larson with a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Well, Adrian Beltre, who grounded sharply to short his first time, takes low for ball 1. Adrian at 275 for the year, 16 home runs, and 65 RBI. High ball's that breaking ball that is in for a strike. Beltre, a .333 hitter in his last 10 games. He's had 8 RBI and 3 home runs in those 10 games. 2-1.
Well, the Rangers have done a pretty good job, Buzz, of what Jeff Bannister had talked about, laying off the changeup, splitter, whatever you want to call it, that's down and out of the strike zone. They haven't swung at some of them, but he's thrown a lot of them. They've laid off most of them.
And Beltre down to one knee, lofts a fly ball to right center field. It's playable as Adam Jones, near the warning track, hauls it in, and that'll do it. Rangers out in order after 2.5. It's the Orioles 3, the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Fox Sports Southwest wants you to show your Maverick pride in an upcoming Ranger game. Get discounted tickets for the Friday, August 26th game against the Indians. And the first 1,000 fans with a UTA ticket at the park that night get a free Rangers cap in Maverick blue and orange. Go to TexasRangers.com/UTA for details. Manny Machado starting off the Oriole third inning. Cole Hamels painting that inside corner with a cutter.
That's a spot to aim, Buzz, right down there.
Yeah, you're right.
We've seen it called 4 times tonight. To a right-hand hitter and a left-hand hitter.
Into the hole. Elvis went down to get that ball. Short hop into the glove of Mitch Moreland. Nice soft hands by Mitch. Elvis, confused me for a second. I didn't know he was going to try to dive for it or what. He went down on one knee and then kind of sprawled after it. Nice play on both ends.
Nice play by Elvis. Ball bounces. But it was a short hop, very short hop. Easy one for Mitch to pick. Oh, nice quick out to get the leadoff hitter, the dangerous Manny Machado, 300 hitter on the season. Also a guy with home run power.
Yeah. And speaking of home run power, and is tied for the major league lead in home runs. Mark Trumbo. Beltre knocking it down and across the diamond. Two pretty nice plays on the left side of the diamond for the Rangers.
Yeah, Adrian had a play last night that he bobbled and picked up and threw quickly. Watch how quickly. He's not even looking at first base. He just picks it up and fires it all the way across the diamond. Perfectly accurate. 2 quick outs for Cole after a nice quick second inning. So a good bounce back for Cole. And again, in the first inning, he gave up 3 runs. But the 3 hits were softly hit balls. A blooper, ball cued off the end of the bat, and a dribbler up the middle, ground ball. It's fairly solidly hit up the middle, but nevertheless, just an average ground ball. Threw a lot of pitches, but got out of a first and second jam to end the inning, and since then he's been right on target.
Well, there's the first strike that Chris Davis has seen tonight. He swung through it. Low fastball. Davis walked on 4 pitches in the first. 1 ball and 1 strike as the Rangers have that extreme overshift against Chris. In at the knees, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Davis walked and scored the 3rd run of that 3-run first inning. Not quite close enough to get him to offer. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cole Hamels getting ready for his 47th pitch of the night. Got him swinging. Hamels with his 2nd strikeout of the night. And the Orioles gone 1-2-3. It's a 3-2 Oriole lead after 3. And now let's go to Rick Renner in our Rooms to Go lounge. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the all-new 3-row Mazda CX-9, meticulously crafted for driving because driving matters. A nice shot of the inner harbor here in Baltimore. A 3-2 Oriole lead. Rangers to bat here in the top of the fourth inning. Odor, Lucroy, and Mazzara, the first three to do the swinging against Kevin Gausman. There's a splitter. Odor with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Ruge slapped one inside the third base bag and down the left field line. His first time up for a double. Odor now a .278 average. Rangers 3 base hits along with their 2 runs. The Orioles with 3 base hits and a couple of walks to go with their 3 runs. Odor fighting off that fastball. It's 1-2. Looked at an 0 for 4 last night. Rangers only had 3 hits in that game. Dylan Bundy and company really shutting down the Ranger offense. Odor rips one to the gap in left center. Over to cut it off Jones. Odor going for 2. A good throw, but he's safe.
That's one you had to be going out of the box, or Jones's excellent throw would have gotten you at second base. Ruge got a fastball. The one before it was in and jammed him a little bit. That one was out over the plate, and he lined it into the gap in left center field. Jones is a very good center fielder with a nice, strong, accurate arm. But Ruge beats it for his second double of the ball game.
Second double lead off an inning.
Yep.
That led to a run last time. In the second, we'll see what happens this time. Jonathan Lucroy now in the same situation he was back in the second. Trying to get Odor either at least to third or in, preferably, which he did with a single. Lucroy with his first hit as a Ranger drove in his first Ranger run. Gausman a check of second. And, Lucroy takes a little bit low for ball 1. Lucroy plays college ball. Louisiana Lafayette. He is a star collegiate player. Got his team to their first exposure in postseason play, if you will, collegiately. Got into the playoffs. Trying to help the Rangers do the same thing, get into postseason this year. Gausman okays the sign, a check of Odor at second. Ground ball up the middle. That's not going to get Odor over. Hardy throws out Lucroy, out number 1. Pretty good pitch by Gausman. Got in on the fist of Jonathan Lucroy. And Omar Mazzara. In the second, Mazzara drew a walk. Long at bat against Gausman. Part of the reason that Gausman now is approaching 70 pitches here in the fourth inning. It's a 10-pitch at bat that Mazzara ended up getting the base on balls. High in the air to center field. Retreating is Adam Jones, still going back. On the track, makes the catch. Odor tags, will advance to third. He will be there with 2 outs. Mazzara gave that a ride about 398 feet to dead center. Unfortunately, the wall is 400 feet there.
Yeah, you couldn't tell exactly where it was going to carry, but as you watched Jones go back, you realized he had it under control. Blew a bubble and popped it as it was coming down. Never quite figure out how players can do that, the mental reaction, but you see it quite frequently.
Now here's Mitch. Moreland skied to center after hitting a long, hard foul ball first time. And he takes a knee-high strike. Moreland now after the 0 for 1. Average slipping down just below the 250 mark. Mitch's average coming in right at 250. That's as high as it's been since the middle of May. 0-2. Kevin Gossman, 4 strikeouts tonight. He has walked just 1. Got the tying run at third here in the 4th inning. One ball and 2 strikes. Mitch playing in his 18th ball game in this ballpark. Has 5 home runs career-wise. Had a couple of 2 home run games here, back-to-back, as a matter of fact. He got 288 career average, 10 RBI. This place can be a launching pad. Get the warm summer air. Movement Odor over third. Ball looked can fly out of here very quickly. Got him swinging. Good splitter there. And Moreland is gone. Rangers can't do anything with Odor's leadoff double. They strand him at third. After 3.5, it's the Orioles 3, the Rangers 2. Time to take a look at our greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Out of Houston last night, Joe Musgrove tied a major league record, 8 strikeouts in relief. That was his major league debut. Came in after Lance McCullers left in the 5th inning with elbow discomfort. Meanwhile, on the international scene, the Olympic Committee Executive Board voted to restore baseball and softball to the Summer Olympic Games. That will start with the 2020 Games in Tokyo. Be interesting to see how they coordinate that with Major League Baseball, what impact it might have. Starting off this bottom of the 4th inning, and Steve Pearce got jammed with a pitch from Cole Hamels and looped one foul down the left field side. Pearce drew a walk back in the 1st inning. Here in the 4th, will be Pearce, Wieters, and Hardy. Cole Hamels has retired the last 7 that he's faced. Trying to right the ship after giving up 3 in the 1st inning. Now ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Oddity for Cole in that 1st. Gave up the 2 soft hits, then 2 walks with 2 outs. Set up a 2-run single by Matt Wieters. Fastball that Pearce fouls back, still 0-2.
Hey, you could tell Pearce was a fan favorite when he was here in Baltimore, when he was introduced
to bat the first time up. They got a very nice ovation. A lot of people standing. Appreciated the work that he did while he was an Oriole.
A couple of big years here. 21 home runs a couple of years ago for the Orioles. Just part-time play, but yeah, he kind of a jack of all trades for Buck Showalter's club. Fell off a little bit last year, I guess, and encouraged the Orioles not to re-sign him and went down to Tampa Bay, and the Orioles needed some right-handed help, so they went and got him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cole out of San Diego. Cole, strike 3. That pitch right on the outside corner. It looked like a backdoor cutter maybe. And Hamels gets his 3rd strikeout, 2nd in a row.
Yeah, definitely a strike. 8 in a row retired since the single by Wieters. And you watch Jonathan Lucroy catch that pitch. There's stats for everything now, and there are ways to gauge, at least in some people's minds, how catchers frame pitches. And Lucroy is regarded as one of the best, catching it and making it look as presentable to an umpire as you possibly can.
Yeah, sometimes we think about framing pitches and bringing pitches back in the strike zone. That's not the tact of that. It's holding the ball there so that the umpire gets a good look at it. You see so many catchers catch the ball and jerk it back toward the strike zone if they think it's outside the strike zone.
That to me is the Little League way of doing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're an umpire, you can see that glove move. And to me, it's a dead giveaway that the catcher doesn't think it's a strike and he jerks it back into the strike zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
2 outs. Here's J.J. Hardy who takes a strike. You watch Lucroy, and Jonathan catches the ball and his hand doesn't move. I mean, it's rock solid when he catches it. Sticks it right there. Lets the umpire take a nice look at it. 0-2. There's also some thought that the analytic of pitch framing means that you wouldn't get that pitch called a strike if it weren't for that catcher. And that's not taking into account how good the umpires are. I don't think if a pitch is questionable, okay, but if it's 3 inches outside, most umpires are not going to give you that. I don't care how pretty it looks. 1-2 pitch to Hardy. Now 2-2.
Well, if Cole can get the out right here with Hardy, he will have turned his pitch count around. It was somewhere around 30 pitches in the first inning, but 2nd, 3rd, and so far in the 4th, much tidier.
And that's a little bit low, so the count has gone full. Hardy hitting 8th, trying to extend this 4th inning. Nolan Reimold, the left fielder, will follow. 28 pitches in the first for Hamels. 3-2 pitch. Line down the right field line, but that will slice and go foul. And Cole, looking at baseball, rubbing it up. .37 strikes, 23 balls tonight for Hamels. He's ready for another 3-2 pitch. Now it's on the way. Just missed a little bit low. Ball 4. As Hamels again trying that cutter, and Hardy wouldn't offer. 3rd walk of the night. That snaps a streak of 9 straight. Set down by Hamels. Cole now back to the stretch for the first time since the first inning. Nolan Reimold led off the 2nd, lined out to Rougned Odor. little bit low for ball one.
That's the first one right there we haven't seen called a strike.
And Cole Hamels shaking his head in disagreement. Stu Sherwater, a little inconsistent. But another pitch that is low and inside. 2-0. Cole's going to take a little longer walk.
That spot has been a strike occasionally. Miss it that though.
Now the 2-0 pitch. That is in for a strike.
He kept throwing it there, and
yeah,
he finally got one. That was a little closer than the second pitch, but right on top of the first pitch.
Hardy, a modest lead at first. Hamels, did he get the swing? Yes, he did. They peeled down to first, and Tripp Gibson, yep, he went around. It's 2-2.
Yes, he did.
Hamels to the plate, breaking ball, got him swinging. Good curveball. Hamels gets his 4th strikeout of the night. Hardy left stranded after 4. Orioles leading 3-2.
Rangers in a 3-2 hole, and of course when you come to a place like Baltimore, Maryland, you've got to eat like the Baltimoreans do, right? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Here, they eat crab cakes. I've turned a lot of people onto a place called Fadley's. One of the locals last year, Jed here, told me about G&M. He said, you got to try G&M. They've got great crab cakes too. Fairly nondescript looking restaurant just outside of Baltimore, as you can see. But I knew once we walked in the door, they're a Best in Baltimore Readers winner for crab cakes. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we figure we found the right space even before we had a chance to have the crab cake. And then they bring the single crab platter. Look at that crab cake. The thing I like about crab cakes is in Baltimore, they're all crab and almost no cake. Look at the close-up of this thing. It's a crab cake. I want crab, not cake. Jed tells me that's a jumbo lump crab cake,
Whoa.
The likes of which they only make here in Baltimore. And the key is Old Bay seasoning, guys. And now I'm told there's an Old Bay beer. So after the game tonight, I may have to try that.
Not a bad idea, John. Yeah, not a bad idea for the Rangers to get back into it. Elvis gets a leadoff single, looped in.
Just those are. I should have broken it open for you. Huge chunks of crab, almost no filling. Crab cake should be a misnomer. Most places you have them, right? It's filling, it's stuffing, it's lots of breading. That's all crab. Fantastic.
Wow. I'll be back in a couple innings. Wait, how do I get out there? Well, Elvis with a leadoff single now. Rangers have the tying run aboard here in the 5th inning. Back to the top of the order. And Jurickson Profar.
I was pretty happy with the barbecue turkey sandwich I've had the last couple of nights out at Boot Powell's barbecue pit behind the right field wall. It's about as good as it gets for barbecue. But having looked at that crab sandwich, it might be even better. Of course, you can't get that at the ballpark, I don't think.
Two things that Boog knows: home runs and barbecue.
He sure does. He knows fishing too. He had
that's right.
Really nice marina down in Key West. Might still have it for all I know.
Snag on a one hop. They turned it into a double play. Great play by J.J. Hardy. We talked about this last night. The Orioles hit home runs and catch the ball extremely well.
I was listening to Billy Ripken on MLB television the other day, and he was making that point. He said any play that they should make, they make it every time. And they make, I'm not saying you should make that play every time, but they make those kind of plays too. Scope made a beautiful play last night, going to his left, spinning and making the out at first base. That's an excellent double play combination with Adam Jones in center field. Weeders behind the plate. They're very strong up the middle. Manny Machado's a Gold Glove caliber third baseman. There's Billy in the front row. Whoa. That's pretty good. Say his name and he appears at the ballpark.
Not every TV crew can do that. Ours is the best. Well, base is empty now, 2 away for Ian Desmond.
MLB's got a great lineup of analysts that do their show. I think Billy's one of the best.
Yeah.
He knows the game really well. Got a good personality. I like listening to him.
Desmond having a tough night at the plate. He's been called out on strikes twice. And he finds himself now down on the count once again, a ball and 2 strikes. And going through a first rough patch that he's had since back in April.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Every hitter goes through it. And you just have to keep swinging, keep working, and have the faith that you're going to come out of it, which he will. He had that little thing going at the beginning of the season. He sure came out of that pretty well.
I would say so.
The thing that's frustrating for a hitter is you're getting the same pitches that you were pounding when you were hot, and you're just missing them. You're fouling them off, getting underneath them a little bit. But over 162 games, it kind of comes and goes. And for good hitters like Ian, it stays there a lot longer than it's not there.
Well, he's got the hat trick as he's been called out for the 3rd straight time. So the Rangers, a leadoff single looked promising, but nobody left on the double play. Halfway through the game, Orioles by 1. to the game on Saturday, that's August 13th, will receive a Snapple Brookshire's Fan Vote Rangers t-shirt. That's selected by you, the fans. Don't miss this special giveaway as the Rangers take on the Detroit Tigers. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. You can call 972-RANGERS. It'll be the top of the order to face Cole Hamels here in the 5th inning. Adam Jones, Jonathan Schoop, and Manny Machado. Ground ball right behind the bag. Beltre, a throw on the mark. Beltre, the second play he's had near the bag, behind the bag in third.
He's just so smooth catching the ball, and especially throwing it. That signature throw from the sidearm angle that he uses, and just how accurate he is almost every time from that far away. Just remarkable. That's who he is.
I guess he's been doing it long enough.
Yeah,
he probably has it down by now.
Kind of got it down. Looks hard to the rest of us. It's just kind of routine to him.
It's like that play he had when he knocked the ball down by Mark Trumbo. Last time Trumbo was up there and picked it up and threw without looking. Probably had an idea where the bag was before he looked up.
Yeah, that's like a basketball player getting a pass with his back to the basket, turns around and shoots it. You know, man, he wasn't even looking. How did he make that basket? Well, he just had done it before a few times.
Jonathan Schoop takes a strike to make it 0-2. Schoop tonight has singled and scored and grounded to first. 1 out of 2. The Orioles second baseman at .286 average. Got him swinging. Well, there's a pretty good trio of pitches from Cole Hamels, who gets his 5th strikeout. 2 gone. Manny Machado coming up. Before he steps in, we're going to send it back to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. The Orioles leading the Rangers 3-2, and Cole Hamels has 2 outs in the 5th. Manny Machado bidding to make it 3 consecutive outs for Hamels. And the Rangers are off the field. Nothing going for Baltimore. We have finished 5 at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. Orioles leading 3-2. $400 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Charles Stahl from Bedford will win $400. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Charles is going to take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Charles, I like your chances. You got Beltran, Beltre, and Odor. Rangers trailing by a run to Kevin Gausman and the Orioles. Carlos Beltran launched his first Ranger home run back in the 1st inning. Fastball right down the middle for strike 1. Beltran taking all the way. One ball and one strike. Orioles 3 runs on 3 hits. They have not had a base hit since the first inning. Rangers 2 runs on 5 hits. Rangers have stranded 3. And Bosman missing low and away. 2-1. Rangers with 140 home runs as a team now. To center field. Adam Jones coming on to make the catch. 1 away. Next will be Adrian Beltre. And speaking of Adrian, the fans attending the game on Sunday, August 14th, will be treated to an Adrian Beltre removable helmet bobblehead. That's courtesy of Nitto Tires. Be one of the first 15,000 fans in Globe Life Park that afternoon. The Rangers taking on the Tigers and collect this one-of-a-kind bobblehead. Find your tickets at TexasRangers.com. Remember, though, remove Adrian's helmet at your own risk.
Don't rub his head.
Do not rub his head. Beltre tonight, a ground ball to short, a fly ball to pretty deep center field. Sliced foul and well out of play down the right side. 1 ball and 1 strike.
We were talking about Cleveland last night, enjoying one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. We're also talking about how tough on the Rangers the Twins were. They've been just as tough on the Indians. They beat them 12-5, 10-6, and they're ahead 8-2 tonight. So they've scored 30 runs in 3 days against the best pitching staff in the American League. One of the best pitching staffs for sure. Shows you how unpredictable baseball can be.
And Beltre rips one to right, a base hit. And Adrian shooting that out toward Steve Pearce in right field. So he's aboard with a 1-out single. That is the 6th Ranger hit of the night. It brings up Rougned Odor.
Good fastball, mid-90s, right on the outside corner. And solidly hit to right field by Adrian.
Now you're talking about Cleveland, Tom. They aren't careful. The Tigers have won 7 straight. And they're within 3 games of them now. That was a very secure lead for the Indians not too long ago.
And they're beating Chris Sale tonight 1-0 in the 6th inning.
And the Tigers making some noise in that AL Central. Well, here's Odor, who for the first time tonight is not leading off an inning. He has doubled both times that he has been up there, and that's a fair ball. Davis steps on first. Now they get the double play as Adrian tried to retreat to first, couldn't make it, and that instinct. Well, a 3-6-3 double play the hard way. Rangers get a hit, but nobody left. After 5 1/2, it's still the Orioles 3 and the Rangers 2. Well, Cole Hamels going to work in the bottom of the 6th. Time for our Rocket Arms, brought to you by Quicken Loans. Cole Hamels leading the Rangers with 137 strikeouts this year. That's with 5 strikeouts tonight. Chris Tillman, the Orioles leader, with 118, leads their ball club. And Mark Trumbo leading off for the Orioles. He takes that slow breaking ball from Cole Hamels for strike 1. Trumbo has reached on a fielder's choice and grounded to third. 0 for 2 tonight. Currently hitting at .266. Off the fist, up the middle, into center field. And Trumbo has his first hit of the series.
That's only the 4th hit for the Orioles, and not one of the hits has been hit hard. They've hit a couple of balls hard, a couple of ground balls and a line drive by Rimo, but the hits have not been hit hard. Been 2 jam shots, and here's another one. There's been a little blooper off the end of the bat, just off Mitch's glove. And there's been a soft ground ball up the middle by Wieters that scored 2 runs with the bases loaded. That's been it. Unfortunately, 3 of them were sandwiched around 2 walks in the 1st inning. And all 3 runs scored in the 1st inning.
Now Chris Davis up there. A swinging strike 1. Davis has struck out and walked tonight. He scored one of those 3 runs in the 1st inning. Rangers had not turned to double play tonight. It's about time for them to. Hard to get Chris Davis, though, to hit the ball on the ground. Hits a lot of balls in the air. Yeah, he did that time. Odor to second. That's all they're going to get. Davis able to leg out the return throw. As far over as Ruge was, I'm not even sure if he'd handle the ball completely clean that he would have had a double play.
Now, it wasn't hit hard. Long throw to second. Probably wasn't going to happen. Another good pitch by Cole. Not a hard hit ball by Chris Davis. Another jam shot. Good enough to get 1, though. Get that lead runner. Strong, accurate throw by Ruge.
So 1 out. Double play still in order. Here's Steve Pearce. Pearce, like his predecessor, Chris Davis, has walked and struck out. Tailing fastball right at the bottom of the strike zone. 0-1. Here's a .307 average. 10 home runs, 29 RBI. OPS above 900. So he's having a heck of a year. Wouldn't offer the changeup. 1-1. Cole Hamels up to 77 pitches tonight. Since that 1st inning, he has been very, very good. 50 strikes, 27 balls. Another changeup. That just floats outside. 2-1.
Even when Cole is missing, you can almost tell by the grouping that he's really throwing the ball right where he wants to. That's where he's trying to throw those pitches. He's not trying to throw it in the middle of the plate. Trying to throw it down and away, and it's all around the outside corner, all 3 of those pitches. Got 1 called for a strike, other 2 weren't. There's that one to it.
Yeah.
The backdoor cutter, it looked like. Backdoor slider, maybe.
Pierce recognizing that a little bit late, and that was a pretty defensive swing. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes to Pierce. Had back-to-back years with the Orioles. 21 home runs and 15 home runs, playing about anywhere from a half to 2/3 of the games. Did he go? He did not. And the count is now full.
Kyle Pierce has a pretty good eye at the plate. He's laid off some pretty tough pitches. And before he came to the Orioles, I'd give him that call. His on-base percentage was .388. He had enough walks to get it up there. He's hitting for a good average, though, too.
Well, Hamels will check Davis at first. Payoff pitch, call, strike 3.
Oh, good pitch.
Well, Pierce has seen a couple of cutters, and Hamels in that 2-seamer off the plate, inside, and then back to the corner for his 6th strikeout.
The only thing he can hope is that ball is called a ball, because there's no way he could swing at it after seeing 5 pitches down and away. One comes up and in, and predictably he took it, and the call went Cole's way, right on the inside corner.
A 2 away, and here's Matt Waiters, who had the big hit in the first inning. Capped off the scoring with a 2-run, 2-out single. 0-1 as Hamill started him off with a curveball. Well, Cole tonight has had, again, good command of the curveball, good command of the changeup. Just that one little rough patch of Davis and Pierce in the first inning where he lost command of the strike zone with everything. Other than that, he has been spot on. Good breaking ball that dips in. 0-2. Matt Waiters, a big switch hitting catcher for the Orioles. An all-star caliber catcher. His 4th all-star selection this year. One and 2 the count. Matt Waiters through a battle with elbow problems, forced him to undergo Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago, and to fight his way back in. Orioles really missed his presence behind the plate in their lineup. The Ranger defense shading him well around to the left side. There goes Davis. The pitch is low, and Lucroy can't find the handle. Davis had a huge jump though and gets himself in scoring position with a stolen base. Here's Davis peeking all the way down there just to make sure that he had a pretty good idea, though, I think, after he saw Hamels with that big leg kick, that he was going to be in safely no matter what. 2 balls, 2 strikes, the count to Waiters now with Davis at second.
That was Davis's first attempt at a stolen base this year.
He's perfect, huh?
Yep, he's 1 for 1.
In the air to right field, Mazzara toward the line, and that will do it. Now Hamels able to work around a leadoff single, a runner left for the Orioles. We'll move on to the 7th inning here in Baltimore. It's the Orioles 3, the Rangers 2. Summary, it all happened early. Carlos Beltran in the first inning, his first Ranger home run, a laser beam into the right field seats. 1-0 Rangers. Back came the Orioles. Matt Waiters, a 2-out, 2-run single, gave the Orioles a 3-1 first inning lead. Jonathan Lucroy the next inning to right field, a base hit drives home. Rougned Odor made it 3-2, and that has been the sum total of the scoring tonight. 3-2 as the Rangers come to bat here in the 7th inning. Jonathan Lucroy will lead things off. Nomar Mazara, Mitch Moreland to follow. Kevin Gausman firing strike one to the outside corner.
And you have to like the way Gausman came back from the 2nd inning. He threw 35 pitches or so in the 2nd inning. Only gave up 1 run. He was on the verge of giving up a lot more than that, but it didn't look after all those pitches in the 2nd inning like he'd be around in the 7th inning, but he settled down pretty nicely.
Logan Ondrusek, right-hander, getting ready in the Oriole bullpen, just in case. Lucroy fouls it off to the right side. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. RBI for Jonathan Lucroy, his 51st of the year, his first in a Ranger uniform. Trying to get aboard to start the Rangers' 7th inning. Slow roller out to Hardy. 1 gone. Next will be Nomar Mazara.
Look, Gausman has pitched much better at home than he has on the road. This is not anything that you would call a pitcher's ballpark. But he's pitched really well at home. He's got a 2.36 ERA at home and a 5.62 ERA on the road. And he's adapted well to pitching in this ballpark, even though for most of left field and half of right field, it's pretty easy to hit a ball out of here.
Nomar Mazara tonight has walked and flied out. Watch a strike one, right down the middle. And inning by inning, there's that 2nd inning that Tom was telling you about, 35 pitches. So 50 pitches after 2 innings for Gausman.
That's 4 innings. He threw 41 pitches.
Yep. 1 ball and 1 strike.
I think the guy that's probably eyeballed him the best has been Mazara. He had that long walk, multiple pitch walk in the 1st and a long fly ball.
And that one hit hard by Jonathan Scope, and Mazara aboard with a 1-out single.
10 or 11 pitch walk, a fly ball right to the base of the wall in center field. Now a hard hit, base hit up the middle. So 3 good at bats for Nomar. Seeing the ball well against Gausman, who's throwing the ball well tonight. 2 nights in a row, the Rangers have faced a young starter and seen excellent stuff from each one of them. Bundy last night, Gausman tonight.
Bundy 23 and Gausman only 25.
Yeah. And you look, if those kids continue to throw like that over the last couple of months, the Orioles, who got Wade Miley in a trade to bolster their staff because they're worried about their starting pitching, they'll feel a lot better about it after the last 2 nights of watching the 2 kids pitch.
Speaking of Wade Miley, we will see him tomorrow night. Make his first outing in an Orioles uniform. Mitch Moreland taking a knee-high strike, 0-1. Mitch tonight is skied to center and struck out. Gausman reading the signs from Matt Wieters. Now the right-hander is ready. 1-1. Mitch checking with Spike Owen down there at 3rd base to see what might be in the works. And Spike gave him the home run sign. See if Mitch ready.
He hit a long home run foul in one of his at-bats down the right field line. Looking for a fair one now. Got a good splitter.
Yeah.
Last night, Bundy had a great changeup, and tonight Gausman has had a good splitter. Something to make his fastball look that much better. Anytime a good hitting lineup like the Rangers can zero in on a fastball, it's going to be tough for the pitcher. But when you've got that kind of a changeup, it makes it a little bit more difficult, even for a really good hitting lineup.
1-2 the count as Gausman sets. That will even things up. Crowd groaning a little bit, but as you can see, our Fox tracker had that well outside. Matt Bush, hard throwing right-hander for the Rangers. Getting ready in that Ranger bullpen. I guess I'm going to have to start saying hard throwing right-hander. That applies to everybody down there now.
Pretty much.
2-2 to Moreland. Nazar at first with one out. Rangers trailing 3-2. Line drive off the glove, but recovered in time by Scope to get the force at second. And it goes 4-6 on the force. That won't tell nearly all the story on that play. Mitch hit it well.
Yeah, there's nothing Mazzara could do. He thought Smoke was going to catch the ball, and he almost did. He had to stop to go back. That's actually good base running. He's forced at second, but better be forced at second than to be doubled off at first. The ball just went off the side of the glove. With a little luck, it goes off the side of the glove and rolls into right field for a base hit.
Yep.
Mitch hit it hard enough for that to happen.
Well, Moreland now at first. Mazzara removed on the fielder's choice. Elvis Andrus, who is 1 for 2, steps in. A strike to the outer edge. Elvis last time up single to right. Elvis now with at least one hit in each of his last 3 ball games. Splitter. That might have been the curveball. In any event, Elvis down in an 0-2 hole. It's the lead from first. Elvis waiting.
On the 106th pitch from Gossman, 96 miles an hour. Strong kid, good arm.
The right-hander ready one more time. And Elvis just able to get a piece of that. Spoiled a pretty good 2-strike pitch. Elvis leads the Ranger Ball Club in hitting on the road this year. He's 10th in the American League. Average right at 300. Cole Hamels, after giving up 3 in the first, has shut down the Orioles. In the next 5 innings, still trails 3-2. Got him swinging. Gosman with 7 strikeouts. Rangers get a hit, but strand a runner. He will take the stretch here at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. The Birds leading the Rangers 3-2. finishing up here tomorrow night against the Orioles. Will be the last of 3 games. And it's on to Houston for a big 3-game weekend series at Minute Maid. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And a couple of games in the Mile High City up in Denver on Monday night and Tuesday afternoon before coming back home to Globe Life Park. J.J. Hardy starting off the Orioles 7th inning. Cole Hamels deals a strike to even things at 1-1. Hardy has walked and grounded into a fielder's choice. Hamels with his 89th pitch of the year. And that finds the outer edge. Cole, as time has gone on, he has gotten more and more pinpoint. 4 hits, 3 of them in the first inning. Is all Hamels has allowed. All 3 runs, 2 of those 3 walks. All that damage in the first. Ian Desmond takes care of J.J. Hardy's fly ball, 1 out.
Yeah, since the first inning, he's given up that jam shot to Trumbo that dribbled up the middle and a walk to J.J. Hardy. That's been it. High pitch count, right around 30 pitches in the first inning. And very manageable since then. Been an excellent start. And you're talking about an Oriole team that has the best home record in the American League, leads Major League Baseball in home runs. Had 4 home runs last night. One thing Cole's done is he's kept the ball in the ballpark.
Yeah.
His first 13 starts, he gave up 15 home runs. He was averaging about a home run per start, but in his last 9 starts now, he's only given up 2 home runs. So he's really kept the home run ball down, and it's had a lot to do with his success.
Reimold ahead of the count, 2 balls and no strikes. He is lined out and struck out tonight. There's a strike. It's 2-1. Hamels to Reimold. The count moves to 3 balls and a strike. You would look just on the quick observation of Cole's pitch count, 95 with his next pitch. Say, well, that's not too bad. But don't forget, he's on the heels of having thrown 123 last time. So I would imagine that Jeff Bannister and Doug Roquet are not going to push him or allow him to go much more than 100 pitches tonight.
Well, there's some, I guess it's Matt out the bullpen has been throwing. He's ready.
Hamels with a payoff pitch instead. He will tell Jonathan Lucroy, my bad, we're going to start over again. Here's Matt Bush. Now the 3-2. Inside ball 4. The 4th walk of the night. The 2nd since the first inning. And Jeff Bannister on his way to the mound.
Oh, he's jogging. Does that mean he's going to take him out, or he's just going to talk to him?
I think he's going to talk to him and see how he feels, see if he wants to go at least one more. Adam Jones, the hitter, and he's handled Jones tonight with a strikeout, a fly out, and a ground out. Just checking in with his starter.
Yep.
And as Jeff Bannister would say, Cole Hamels has earned the right to have that conversation.
Exactly.
32-year-old with a lot of Major League service time. That's how you earn that right. To have the skipper ask you how you feel, and you get the right answer, and you stay in the ballgame. Now here's Adam Jones, 0 for 3 this evening. Jones struck out in the first, flied to center in the second, and then grounded out in that 5th inning. Hamels checks Reimold. The first pitch. Here's a changeup for strike 1. McCullough, especially to Adam Jones tonight, has done that very well. Gotten the changeup or the curveball in some cases in for strike 1. Very nicely. Sets up everything else in the at bat. One ball and 1 strike. Ranger infield, 3 or 4 steps around to the left. Elvis well into the hole at shortstop. Outfield straight away for Jones. Elvis, Odor, Merlin digs it out. There's the double play. The Rangers hadn't turned one tonight. They have now. 6-4-3, and that takes care of the Orioles. We're going to the 8th. Orioles leading the Rangers 3-2. That's the good news. Bad news is Rangers have to face Darren O'Day. Saw him last night. O'Day got his third save of the year. Our Kubota power stats. That Orioles bullpen, the best in the major leagues as far as their record, 26-9. Best ERA in the American League with a 3.07 mark. And Darren O'Day, a big part of that. O'Day last night, appearing in his 26th game tonight, number 27, 3-1. 9 holes to go along with those 3 saves. 207 opponent's batting average. And O'Day on here to face the top of the Ranger order in the 8th inning. Now, Kevin Gausman, 7 innings of work, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Erickson Profar takes ball 1 from O'Day. Profar 0 for 3 tonight. A couple of strikeouts. Last time up, grounded into a double play. There's that frisbee of a slider that comes in for strike 1. Darren O'Day, 6'4", about 220 pounds. 33-year-old out of Jacksonville, Florida. Profar leaning on that pitch, and it's called strike 2. O'Day in his 5th year with Baltimore. Last pitch for the Rangers in 2011. Claimed by the Orioles that offseason. He has been here ever since. The 1-2 pitch. In the air, shallow center field. Easy jog in for Adam Jones. That is out number 1 before Ian Desmond steps in. Let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. The Subway Series a little heated in the Bronx. Boys will be boys. Well, Ian Desmond was the first hitter last night that Darren O'Day faced, and Ian went down swinging. Desmond, 3 straight strikeouts tonight.
O'Day has good opponents' batting average, good earned run average. He's given up 7 earned runs and 5 home runs. Quite a few home runs for the innings that he's pitched. That's about all the Rangers need, would be 1 home run to make this game look much better.
You almost had it right there.
Just missed that one.
Dead center. And that's where Adam Jones is patrolling. That is out number 2, and to bring up Carlos Beltran. Well, you can follow Rangers baseball live with MLB.com at Bat app. You can stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and a lot more. Just download MLB.com at Bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. 2 outs. Here is Beltran. Carlos homered in the first inning. The Rangers on the board right at the outset. Since then, is line to center and fly to center. O'Day spears that chopper. Underhand to first. It's 3 up and 3 down for Darren O'Day. Rangers gone in the 8th. After 7.5, Orioles still maintaining that 3-2 lead.
Couple of runs in the 9th inning to get this one the way they want it. First things first, that's to shut down the Orioles here in the 8th. That'll be Matt Bush's job. Buzz will tell you all about that momentarily. I'm here to tell you that we'll do this again tomorrow. The finale of this 3-game set is right here tomorrow. Same time, same station. Wade Miley, who came over just prior to the trade deadline, is here since Sunday from Seattle, and he'll take on A.J. Griffin and the Rangers. A.J. got that first win since the return from the disabled list last time out against Kansas City. AT&T high-speed internet reminds me to remind you that the game starts tomorrow at 6 Central Time. Rangers Live gets you going at 5:30, guys.
All right, John, thank you. Yeah, Matt Bush, the 30-year-old rookie right-hander, is on now. And he goes to work. First pitch to Jonathan Scope is popped up on the infield. Rougned Odor making that two-handed catch for Rougned. One second baseman takes care of the other. One gone. Manny Machado coming up. There are the numbers for Matt Bush. Last time out, Matt was the winner in that ball game on Saturday night against Kansas City. 34th appearance of the year. He's 4-2, 2.94 ERA. He has struck out 31 in 33 2/3 innings. That strikeout to inning pitch ratio is going up. almost every time he goes out there. He has found the strikeout pitch pretty frequently. Manny Machado is 1 for 3. Had a double off the glove of Mitch Moreland in the first inning. Ball 1 is up and in. Machado since then has grounded out twice to shortstop. Bush to the plate. And he gets the knee-high strike. It's that cutter slash slider at 93.
Yeah, in spring training they were talking about that. It was like 90 and 91. Now it's zooming up to 93.
2-1. Makes my elbow hurt every time I think about that. Most people can't throw a slider or cutter that quite that hard. Of course, most people can't throw a fastball at 98 either. 2-1. 3 balls and a strike to Machado. Matt Bush, former #1 draft pick of this year. Padres lines it to left center. Desmond on the dead run reaches up and hauls it in.
Boy, he had to be on the dead run because that ball wasn't hanging up there. That thing was smoked. Machado laid out a line drive that looked like it was directly in the gap. And Ian got a good jump and just outran it. See Ian just shading slightly toward left center, and a good jump. Excellent speed. Nice catch.
Well, Ian Desmond flashing some leather out there in center field. That's out number 2. And Mark Trumbo comes up. There's the curveball for ball 1. Trumbo had a jam shot single back in the 6th inning. His last time up. He is 1 for 3. Bush, a fastball inside on him, and the foul ball makes it 1-1. First time for Matt Bush to face any of these Baltimore Orioles. That was not with the club. He was still at Double-A when Orioles came into town. That first series back in mid-April, and the makeup game, which was June 20th. Matt didn't pitch in. Ahead of Trumbo, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Trumbo had the first RBI for the Orioles tonight on a fielder's choice grounder back in the 1st inning. 1-2 pitch. Beltre. That ball come up on him. He played it flawlessly. 3 up, 3 down with some good defense behind Matt Bush. Now we're going to the 9th inning. Rangers need 1 to tie with Beltre leading on. 3-2 Baltimore. of the year. Look at that ERA. 0.60. That's just barely north of nothing. 144 opponent's batting average, and Adrian Beltre a pretty healthy cut at that 96-mile-an-hour Britain fastball.
I think most people, not most people, many people would say that if you had to pick the best sinker in baseball, you'd probably go with Zach Britton. It's 96 miles an hour, and it goes down.
High and outside.
That one didn't go down. That went up and away. He throws hard, and he can knock the bat right out of your hand some days.
Yes, he can.
22 hits in 44 innings.
That pitch is inside to Beltre. 2 balls and a strike. Well, Britton in the grand scheme of things leads the major leagues with that 0.60 ERA, as you can imagine. Off to one of the best starts by a left-handed reliever in baseball history. He misses outside. It is 3-1 to Beltre.
Well, between Brock and Britton, they've given up only 4 home runs in 100 innings. They keep the ball in the ballpark. Hopefully they won't keep it in the strike zone right here. We'll have a base runner.
Up the middle, Scope to the backhand. 1 out. Next to be Rougned Odor. Well, Star Wars weekend returns to the ballpark. The first 15,000 fans at the game on Saturday, August 27th, receive an Elvis Landrews Calrissian All-Star Star Wars bobblehead. That's courtesy of Takis. You don't have to smuggle your way on across the galaxy in order to pick up one of the coolest bobbleheads of the year. Just purchase your tickets today at TexasRangers.com to see the Indians take on the Rangers and take home this special collectible. Rougned Odor 2 for 3 tonight. Doubles each of his first 2 times up as he led off the 2nd and 4th innings. Last time up in the 6th, grounded into a double play. Rougned hitting at 279, as you can see. Lefty against lefty. Britton back to him. 2-0. Zach Britton has tied the longest save streak by a left-handed pitcher in Major League history. Willie Hernandez with the '84 Tigers also had 32 consecutive saves to start the season. Jack Britton trying to beat that tonight. Sam Dyson, Jeremy Jeffress, the newest Ranger out there in the bullpen. Well, there's some heat out there in that Ranger pen. Inside, 3-1. Second straight hitter now that Britton has gone to a 3-1 count on. Odor trying to get aboard here in the 9th inning. Jonathan Lucroy, the Ranger catcher, is in the on-deck circle. Three and 2. One right at the top of the zone.
Yeah, I was a Ranger hitter tonight. I'd be shaking my head. What a tough night to hit. Fairly liberal strike zone.
Payoff pitch.
Well, we saw Roogie. We've seen Roogie take some tough pitchers deep this year.
Yeah.
Andrew Miller comes to mind in Yankee Stadium.
Sean Doolittle.
Sean Doolittle comes to mind. A couple of tough left-handers. Oh, a good swing at that high fastball, boy.
No, still 3 and 2. That one was down, and Odor did a pretty good job to just foul it off.
Top of that sinker. Ball was sinking down. Just got a piece of the top of the baseball.
Another 3-2 pitch coming from Britton to Odor. In the dirt, he lost it. Generously in the dirt, I would say. But that ball just barely did make the dirt, almost on the grass. And Zach Britton, a little bit out of sorts tonight from the way we have seen him in the past.
In that situation, in a one-run game, I would mark Brugge down as one of the toughest guys in the league to walk, too. He's only walked 9 times this year. And in a one-run game, he's not looking to walk right there. He's looking to put one in the orbit.
Well, the Rangers have the tying run aboard with one out here in the night. Jonathan Lucroy, the catcher, is 1 for 3 this evening, steps in. Britton's first pitch to him is low for ball 1. Lucroy had the RBI single in the second inning. Drove home Odor, who had led that inning off with a double. Rangers trailing 3-2 here in the top of the 9th inning. In the dirt, Odor going to second. The throw, and they got him.
What a throw.
Wieters, and you can see why an all-star has been bestowed on Matt Wieters.
What a throw. Looked like a shortstop going after that ball. Ball kicked far enough away for Ruge to make it. I can't fault Ruge for trying to go. As far as that ball is away, Wieters with his back to second just throws a perfect throw to second base. And that's what it took to get Ruge. What a throw. You know, we're talking about the defense that the Orioles played. And boy, you can't discount the Wieters effect behind the plate.
Yep.
Beautiful throw.
Well, that is out number 2. Bases now empty with 2 outs.
And it was a 2-0 count. Britton's been all over the place trying to throw a strike. Hadn't thrown that many of them. There's one.
2-1. Britton's thrown 16 pitches, only 7 strikes. Two and 2. $24,552 on hand here at Oriole Park in Camden Yards. They are on their feet. Jonathan Lucroy trying to keep the Ranger hopes alive tonight. Just able to stay alive. Lucroy a single and a couple of ground outs to shortstop. Ryan Ruick has grabbed a bat. He's going to come into the on-deck circle, hoping to get a shot at Zach Britton here in the 9th inning. All 3. And he is 1 pitch out of the strike zone away from coming to the plate. But Showalter saying, wait a minute, I thought Britton was automatic. All they do is run him out there to get a save. Some nights not as easy. Talking with Dave Wallace, his pitching coach. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Britton set. Popped up. Right side of the diamond. Schoop, the second baseman, making the call and the catch. And Zach Britton has his 33rd consecutive save as the Rangers fall for the 2nd straight night to Baltimore tonight. A 3-2 Oriole win. The Rangers out-hit the Birds, but couldn't outscore them in the run column. 3-2 the final. We'll be back to Oriole Park and Camden Yards with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.